Chapter 2. It started decades ago. Mr. Christian's favorite line was, "If there's no evidence, there's nothing to cover up. There's no crime." Back in the day, it sounded cool. It sounded rebellious. I thought he was in the mafia. He always dressed in black for our meetings, and he had a certain old-time gangster persona to him. He had a rough voice, but he never raised it. At first, I respected him. But now, the thought of him fills my bones with a chill I can't describe. The drive-in is open Thursday, Saturday. There are usually around 100 vehicles, give or take. Of those 100 vehicles, around 73 are locals, or untouchables, as Mr. Christian calls them. He deems it essential to not fish in our own pond. As he says, it would draw too much attention. He prefers vehicles with 1 or 2 adults, so that rules out families and groups of teens piled into their vehicles for a night of fun. My job is to go around and make sure that the vehicles with patrons he prefers have the drive-in radio attached to their vehicles for the duration of the show. I don't know how the whole thing works, but I do know it keeps my empire running. I asked him once, years ago, but he said the less I knew, the better. Like every other night, I walk around the lot before putting on the first film. We play music while everyone is waiting, so we can do a sound check on our audio system. I walk around asking patrons if their car audio is working well, and encouraging the chosen ones to use our complimentary audio system. There's rarely any hesitation. I've learned how to sell the charm of it over the years. Tonight seems to be the same as any other night, other than a car with a lone occupant. Those are rare to see. I knock on his window. He doesn't even turn to look at me. I knock a bit louder. He slowly turns his head, and I see his hand hover over his window switch a moment before he decides to lower it. "Hi," I greet him in my usual friendly demeanor. "I'm Marcus, or Q-Mark as they call me here. I'm your projectionist for the evening. Tonight's shows have been getting a lot of buzz. Are you excited to see what happens?" He looks at me blankly for a moment, and then nods his head. "Yes." "We have a complimentary audio system," I tell him, as I gesture towards the pole with the radio attached to it. "It's been updated and works quite well, no static. Would you like to try it out?" I ask him. He stares at me for a moment. He looks oddly familiar, but I can't seem to place where I'd know him from. He's older than me, by probably a decade or 2 easily. "Yes," he replies in a clipped, but not unfriendly way. I take the radio off the pole and hook the frame on his open window. "You're all set. Enjoy the show. It'll be starting shortly." I walk away to do the rest of my rounds. Tonight's attendance isn't too bad, and including the lone rider, as I call solo occupants, there are around 4 vehicles that are marked for Mr. Christian. The first show goes off without a hitch. Another flawless transition between film reels, only a quarter of my popcorn eaten after the first film. That's a great sign. It was spooky, but nothing with too much gore. I don't enjoy those ones at all, and a low amount of popcorn eaten during them usually just means I felt too nauseous to have any more. As we start to get into the second film, I start wondering where I recognized the lone rider from. He was too old to have gone to school with me, so I rule that out. I know all of the shopkeepers in town, so I don't think he's local in that way. Where is he from? Suddenly, I recall a story from years ago. The original drive-in owner disappeared on a dark, gloomy October night, just before opening night. He had built the drive-in, and before it could open, he vanished into thin air, it seemed. There weren't many photos back at that time, so the only photo I had seen was years ago when I first started working here. It was a short tribute on opening night, and it rolled by in 5 seconds on the starting credits. Hardly something prominent in my mind decades later. Out of curiosity, I started looking through the storage room at the back of the booth. We don't generally keep every film reel, but surely we had kept the ones from opening night. I start, flipping through the reels on the shelf. Greedy Mongrels? No, that's 2006. And why did we even keep that one? Mornings in Jamaica, that was a surprising hit. Old-timey love story from the 80s, but it was so well written and directed. Anyways, don't get distracted. Opening night credits. Aha! Here it is! I pull out the reel, ever so gently. This is the oldest reel in the house. I'll wait until everyone leaves tonight and I'll play it. The second show is coming to an end. For now, it's time to get back to work.